All right. What's happening, everybody? Is this thing working? Here we go. All right. We're having to use the lower level software because we can't afford the other one right now. But this one will work. We got 9 people in the house. Hey, Ernestine, what's happening? So we're going to do a little show here. And what we're going to do, TJ, it's time for you to come on. So what we're going to do is invite people on a bit for new faces, anyone that's never been on, and or anyone that would like to share their recent intel, kind of like in the spirit of what Morgan and I did last night. But however, whatever form that may be in, if you had a visitation, if you had a out-of-body experience, So, yeah, so just think about that. Anybody wants to come in here in a bit, we're going to ask, you'll just click that link, which I'll put on the comments now. Hang on. This will be funny. I'm on a show right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Did I put that up? Here we go. Boom. So there's the link on Facebook and YouTube, all the different platforms. If you want to come on. Oh, yeah, it made it. Okay. So yeah, we're looking for people that want to discuss any new intel you might have come into, whether it be on a personal level, because as the individual goes, so goes the collective, right? Not going any more personal than you want to. And second of all, anyone that's never been on that would like to come on and just chill, just click that link when we're ready. So right now, what I want to do is I've been referring to a video that I watched 2-3 days ago. And I don't normally watch them, but like so many things happening now, we're directed to where we need to go. We're told what we need to hear and and all that stuff. So you have to respect it. So I watched this video, or a good part of it. Our friend, Jenny Jablowski, was on a show with Alex Collier, Danny, the spiritual therapist. I think her name is Danny Henderson on YouTube. And then Chris O'Connor, who I believe is a whistleblower type guy, truther. And Jenny. And so it was really interesting because the panel, so to speak, had different elements like truther element, conspiracy element, disclosure element, and starseed galactic element. So there was several different elements of our journey represented by these 4 people. Now, the part I'm going to show you, she actually has something to say about Soulogy. And I really appreciate it. And not only that, I really appreciate what she said on the show. And I will put a link to that show if you want to watch it. It's pretty interesting. And maybe we'll get into some of that now with the intel that people have. So here is a link for the show that I'm referring to. Boom. And it's called Top Disclosure. Alex Collier, Chris O'Connor, Jenny Jablowski, and Danny Henderson, Waves of Volunteers. It was put out 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was pretty interesting because of the content of the conversation and the fact that everybody coming from a different neck of the woods was basically coming to the same thing, which was, I am soul, which was really cool. So I thought Jenny did a hell of a job. I was standing in the bathroom with my arms in the air going, yes, I am soul. And she was ripping it. But anyway, this part, she actually refers to Soulogy, which I thought was really cool because I've been joking for a long time, but I'm really not, I forgot what I was saying because I was reading Elizabeth Appledore's comment. I've been saying that let's take this mainstream. I'm making soup too, Jinjin. I'm making curry. Okay, which is my only for the day because I've been trying to fast a lot. let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to put on this clip. It's just a few minutes long. She's going to talk about Soulogy a little bit, and I thought that was really cool. And I just want to say shout out to Jenny Jablowski. And again, we're going to call some people in, open mic, new faces, or new intel. So if it's an old face and you've got some recent intel that you want to share, there's a lot coming in. I talked to Ty Hudnall today. I talked to Morgan. I talked to a couple other people. There's a lot of stuff coming in the last 2 or 3 days. It's rapidly changing. But I'm going to put this video on now and let you view this, and then I'll make the call out for anyone that wants to come on with and share their latest intel. So here is Jenny Jablowski on that show I was referring to. And let me just...
And that is what is being shared planetary wide in many, many spiritual communities. So my plea to all of us on this journey is know your own frequency. Be in your own body. I was recently interviewed by someone who interviews like 3 people a day. That's how he makes money. Wonderful channel. And he just talks to people. And he's the most amazing, loving, kind, gentle, incredible, wonderful, intelligent person I ever met. And I just love him to death. And he has all these people on, people that used to be mermaids, or people that were, you know, Andromedans or Arcturians or Alpha Centaurians or what have you, or people from the future. And when he got done interviewing me, and Danny, I called and left you a voicemail full of expletives that this day, I believe. At the very end, he said, Jenny, I always enjoy talking to you. You're very humble, but more interestingly, you're very human. And the way he said it was like, you know, you're just human. You're not as interesting as everybody else. Mermaids and aliens here on my show, and you're just human. And here's the secret information. We came here to be human. We came here to ascend humanity. We came here with human DNA. We came here to rock out being human. And we came here to own the vehicle that we are incarnate in. And if you don't own it, somebody else will. And it's happening a lot. So I understand that 250 million of us don't necessarily want to be here right now. And I might be one of the most excited person you ever met about being human. If we can all get excited about being in a human body, because guess what this human body affords us? Through the alchemy of our soul blueprint and our DNA, we can transmute any frequency that they send to us. Yes. And through the power of our thoughts and our intentions, we can create a future that those people don't want. Here are 3 things that are really important. Focused attention, having a felt unified sense of, if it's just the 5 human senses or the 8 psychic senses, whatever human language you want to give, and your memory. Why do you think they're trying so hard to interfere with our felt senses, our ability to focus, and our memory? We are some of the most powerful beings in this universe. At least we have the potential to be. Don't let them just steal it from you. Don't let them make you feel less than. Drive your own bus.
Sorry about that. Here I am talking. But anyway, that was the clip. It's an hour and 37 minute show. Came out 2 weeks ago. I put the link up there if you want to watch it. If you're in the green room, I'll be with you just shortly. We're going to probably start bringing people on in about 5 or 10 minutes at the most. So, yeah, for anyone that's been researching, back, a few years, knows, you guys can hear me now, right? Yeah. Knows the name Alex Collier. He's been in communication with the Andromedans for a really long time. And he's been out there for a really long time when it wasn't popular. But his perspective and the other two, as well as Jenny, at the end of the show was what she was just talking about there and what we strive for here, which is to put the focus on our personal power, sovereignty, freedom as a soul, regardless of what timeline or dimension we might be on. And so that's, I think, part of the reason that I wanted to share this is because I think we're getting to a point now. I was talking to my friend today who gets some high level stuff and shared with me some stuff that I think he's going to come on and we're going to talk about it. I think that we're getting to a point now where the discernment is going to be much further than, I'm not saying this is the gospel truth, but I mean, this has been my feeling. And then watching a show like this, hearing what these people had to say, talking to my friend, talking to Morgan, different things, and my own interpretation, I guess, that we're going to be drilling down to levels of discernment that we never thought about, which has to do with who's talking to me. What part of my team do you represent? And what is your specificity? What is your agenda? What is your purpose? Because we got to remember, we contain everything within ourselves. And I am soul reaches across every timeline and dimension. So let me just put this out there one more time. I'll talk for a few more minutes. I've got a couple of people in the green room now. But listen, anybody that wants to come on and share themselves, if you've never been on this show and you want to come and step out, then I'm here to hold space. We're here to hold space for you. And also anyone that would like to share their recent intel, because I really believe, as I say on the show many, many times, that the most important code we can receive is from the conversations that we have with each other. So let me put the link up. So if you meet one of those two, then come on in. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but I put the link up. So it's on the YouTube, it's on the Facebook platforms and the YouTube platforms. Just real quick before I start pulling people up. Again, if you want to come on, you want to share new intel, or you're a new face that hasn't been on the show, please come on. The link is in the comments. It's also right there, but I don't think you can copy and paste it from the screen. Somebody mentioned, Delia mentions Franco and Kimberly. I think we got another one coming in too. So we got a couple of them coming in. But yeah, a lot of part of what I got into today came from 3 or 4 different places, and you know how that goes, especially now, because everything seems to be kind of connecting itself. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's very high frequency, and you know him, and we were talking, and based on some very unforeseen changes, change in atmosphere, change in the energetic field, change in consciousness, change in awareness, whatever you want to call it, that we reach a point on the Earth's evolution where some things have changed drastically. And a lot of people have felt this energy this year, especially in the last week. And his take on it was based on the information he was getting from those aspects that he communicates with. 2024 is, literally from the get-go is a totally different place. The lady Gilla Lane that came on last week that was very high frequency, she spoke of the same thing. We would not recognize this time right now today, just in less than a year. Franco talked about it before he transitioned. He talked about it. He talked specifically about 2022, 23, and into 24. And he said that by the first of the 2024, we would be seeing a lot of evidence, physical evidence, such as councils forming around the world, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody's, not everybody's, but it's significant. If you read Sandra Walter's stuff, if you read Morgan's stuff, if you read Judith Kuzel's stuff, if you read or listen to read Kristen Vambasset, Maya Maticular, even if you've noticed with Rick Jewers, his flow has changed recently. He came on about 10 days ago. We talked about it. Something's altered dramatically. And just to kind of give you a little glimpse of it, and again, take this metaphorically and energetically and not literally. Bruce, Judith is having surgery, I think, in 2 weeks. So I'm not really sure. I haven't heard what the update is. But again, take this energetically, metaphorically to give us something to kind of look at and compare to in our own right and other things that we hear. And part of that is what he was saying was, now he works with specific home frequencies or galactic frequencies or whatever you want to call it, like we all do, be it elemental, galactic, whatever. But for him, it's been a long, long time. And this is somebody that you know that's been in the game for 35 of his 50 years. He's not quite 50, but he's been on the path a long time. He was saying that his orders, his role, his communicators, etc., have changed drastically, and not in a bad way, because part of his intel and what I'm seeing from others and picking up, just not really so much through verbalization, is that there are a lot more aspects of ours, call them family, call them whatever you want to call them. There are a lot more that have come online with us and that are here with us. They're showing up in huge numbers. And so it'll be interesting to see over the next few days as we compare notes with other people, what they're getting and if they're getting the same feeling. I know I've had a lot of conversations with my aspects, particularly this year, particularly in the last couple of weeks, where I'm getting, and I'm sure this is happening with other people one way or the other, where I'm getting answers to questions deeper than before. I'm getting, I'm able to have conversations where I can be in my power and stand in equal ground with those aspects I'm having a conversation with. It's not just hurry up and do whatever I'm told. It's more like, okay, why and how and what's going on? And we have the right to ask these questions, including of our higher self. And I think a lot of us have had these conversations. And part of the reason I think that people are starting to feel this major change out there is because we are in our energy field, in our universe, each of us, we have become a bit tiresome and said, you know what, fuck this shit. Let's get it on. Let's roll with it. Let's do it. And I really feel like that force of our exasperation and frustration and patience being worn has had an effect. So I've heard a lot of different things. I'd love to get into them, but I'm not really the authority. I'm a bit of a translator of intel, as you know, like when I do the show and even when I get my own or hear somebody else's, but I'm not really one that pulls down specifics to the degree that a lot of these people do. So we had two people were in the green room and they both took off. So I'll just keep going with it. Any questions, any comments, anybody have anything that they want to bounce? The thing is, we obviously know that we are the ones creating this. One of the reasons that I really like that show that I showed the clip of earlier is because these are 4 different people from 4 different parts of, let's just say, the alternative platform or the awakened platforms of conspiracy, disclosure, truthers, whistleblowers, starseeds, light workers, etc. They had a conversation where they were that I don't believe would have happened a year or 2 ago, and I think it's indicative of where we're at now. And in that conversation, they talked about the let's just say the wherewithal of some of the aspects that they have been communicating with over the years. And Alex Collier put it one way. He said, like I usually do, he said, I'm the one down here, you're giving me advice and such and such and such. But in other words, like almost like, how would you know? I'm here. I'm the one doing it. I'm doing the human thing. And that doesn't mean that we supersede our aspects, our multidimensionality. I see us as being more of a of the 0 point itself, with our internal universe, with all of the aspects that we have contained within ourselves through our actions, through our thoughts, and through our words. But it was interesting to hear these people talking about what I think is empowerment, self-empowerment of a soul to a level that we might not have thought was going to occur when this all really started getting going in 2012. But the other thing I liked about what they said, and it's also something that came in for me a few days ago, and to my friend that I talked to today, because I mentioned it to him, that this is not a done deal. I think a lot of the fluffy love and light stuff is going to get tested, because we're going to be asked to dig down, not in greater suffering or pain than we might have experienced up to this point, but in challenging our soul to reach a little bit further and expand a little bit wider. So in doing that, we are developing a voice that we don't just use with each other in our conscious moments in our physical incarnation, but it's also a voice that's coming out in our conversations with the universe one-on-one, and the aspects that represent it and that are part of our monad and part of our universal makeup held within our body. So I think that's a good sign, and that's really what I'm kind of looking for today. And we may not get there, but if anybody wants to come on, because one of the things about Soulogy, about you, about me, we're all about expanding and growing. We're not going to sit on where we've been, and part of that is to seek fresh new code, and to really put some of these subjects out on the table. Now, we've had a lot of subjects out on the table on these communities over the years, and a lot of those were okay. For instance, a big one was 9/11. When the internet really started kicking up, and 2012 came and people started looking into it, it was a real awakening tool for people, just like what happened in 21, 22, 23. A lot of people woke up as a result of that whole thing. I'm sorry, 2021 and 22. And you know what I'm talking about. But let's see. Let me go back. So there's a lot of the clickbait, and I'm just going to use that word because we don't need to act like the elephant's not in the room anymore. We don't need to pull punches with each other anymore. We can just be straight up. But a lot of the clickbait, and again, these things, these issues, these aspects, these hidden truths and lies, they have a place and have had a place in all of our wake-ups, and still continue for some people out there, right? So what I haven't seen, and let me just say, the second side, let's say another side of it is, so you see one side is going, or not one side, one neck of the woods in these shared platforms, in this collective platforms that contains disclosure and conspiracy and truther and whistleblower and starseed light worker, et cetera, et cetera. The primary one would be disclosure type topics. Did you know this happened? Did you know that happened? We're talking secret space. We're talking the moon is artificial. We're talking about all these different things. So you get all that going on. And then you had another one, which rightfully so has served us well, which is people start channeling, sharing their downloads. And within that element, there are all the different frequencies that make up everything. And so you have the same range of human nature and characteristics and groups and cliques and whatever. Another thing that you saw, and we refer to it with reverence, the fluffy love and light. Everything's good. Don't look at the dark. It's all taken care of. We're just playing it out in the physical now. Almost too far that way, where the other went too far to the, after a while, you want to keep feeding the monster and talking about all the shit that's wrong, or do you want to talk about, what's going on? Now, on the other side, you had the fluffy love and light, which wasn't paying enough attention to the dark. And then I think the other one doesn't pay enough attention to the I am soul, the light, and again, these are all the same thing. We're just discussing this. Now, the third thing to me is what I see and what we would, in part, what we would like to put out there and support. And that is this, to start to discuss deeper the dialogues that we have with the universe on an individual basis, the intel that we have. How do we know that everyone that thinks they're talking to Andromedans are actually talking to Andromedans? And how many of them come from what part of the Andromeda? I mean, many of you have had dimensional experiences and intel. It's not like every single Pleiadian is fluffy love and light. And it's not like every reptilian is a dark piece of crap, right? So there's more information to be found there. And because we've been withheld to even verify and validate that this stuff was out there, we're now starting to break through and communicate with more clarity and more directness and more trust to confidence with these aspects that we are, right? And so by virtue of that, and by virtue of our personal empowerment and expansion, the same rules apply. And so to have conversations where we take into consideration not just the standard of the last 10 or 11 years of here's the disclosure topics, here's the conspiracy topics, here's the all the multidimensional stuff on this other side, and everything's going to be fine. I mean, how many times have you and I read over the years on the timeline, we are the such and such, we are the Arcturians, we are the Pleiadians, and here's the story, and it's the same story every time. Just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Hold tight. I'm not certainly not taking any measure of disrespect to that which we're all part of. I'm just pointing out a part of our evolution, and that maybe it would be a really good idea for us to start talking about, who do you communicate with? How do you know who you're communicating with? How does it make you feel? Did you buy it as an overlay or a belief system, or do you feel it in your body? And do you know? Now, everybody's truth is their truth, and I respect that. I respect every single person's reality. I still believe that it's very possible. We have 8 billion Earths with 8 billion people. And each is running their own version or something like that. But yeah, I think it'd be a great idea to talk about even deeper than we have on the show. To talk about people's relationships. Like we talked to Hung. Everyone knows Hung, and we've talked on the show before about the cultural impact of the dragon lineage and the dragon culture, cosmic culture. That is in the culture that she was raised in, the Vietnamese culture. We had her on, and she talked about her relationship with that energy and some of her experiences with it. And other people have have come in and talked about things. But I think we can now start to not only talk as we have, but come in and start to compare notes, looking for the common thread. And I will say this until the day I die. We all got here because we're inquisitive and curious, right? And we ask questions. We ask questions. Now, whether it was in our younger ages when we were being, let's say some of us, it wasn't me, but being traumatized, we took that, or people that have gone through stuff like that, and I guess we all have to a degree or another, one degree or another, we accept it. We figure that's just the way it is. And now we have started to come out of this. And we started to no. Look at all the growth that happened last year with the ego deaths and identity deaths. What did you see a lot of? You saw people taking their power back. And it wasn't always pretty because the pendulum was swinging pretty hard. So it was, I've learned to say no. I've set boundaries. I'm cutting this off, cutting that off. I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting that. All beautiful signs and characteristics of our evolution. But I think now we're taking it a little bit further. Because what we have looked to for commonality or evidence or traces of evidence of what we all share together and that we speak openly about, we don't see it in the global stage. And not too many of us are really hooked up on that kind of stuff. But the thing is that you would think we would see some signs, because as within, without. We know now at this stage of the game that everything outside of us, we literally have to own. That's not a cliche, and that's not bullshit. We literally have to say that narcissistic, patriarchal aspect and thread is in me too. We just don't operate by it. We are learning to use the empathic, in the egoic and everything into 0-point field where we click with it all. Okay, I got someone in the green room. We're going to go to her in just a minute. But so I just think it's a time where we can start to talk about our personal experiences. And yeah, I'll put the link in the here. Let me just. It's where we start talking about our personal experiences. Who are we talking to? It's not to prove anyone wrong. In fact, we're all right. It's not to prove anyone wrong. It's to introduce into the field threads of discussion, things that make us think, because that's what it's all about. If I think we've all figured out by now, the more we have to stay open all the time. We don't have to do anything, but in order for us to get the full pop, we've got to remain open to any and all things that are possible. And remember too that any and all things are possible to the man who believes. All right, we got a friend in here, and a couple of people dropped out. You want to come pop back in? That's fine. Again, new faces if you haven't been on before, and new intel if you have been on before. You haven't been on before. This is kind of what we're looking at specifically. We got about another half hour. Boom, here we go. What's happening?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead. What's going on?
Oh, it's kind of interesting. Intel has been really about what are we doing right. It feels a lot of the energy taking action, and I know Brachet's post, what she said, slingshot pulled back before the slingshot coming in, which that's kind of what time is. What are we doing? Evaluating how we chop wood, basically. We're evaluating, and as well as what are we. So to me, I'm really a big, so whenever there's questions or things that come up, I always am talking, where's it coming from, center of the self, connections, and the whole process with meeting that really kind of share the code and really kind of find out weeks alongside that when it's connected. You know, we don't like
Yeah, your
to
audio,
talk about it, but there's a lot of
your audio is dropping every other word. Can you? Are you on a phone?
I'm on
What
my
is that?
phone.
You're in your pod? Oh, you're on
Yeah,
your
on my
laptop. You have a. How's that? Did you fix it?
I'm trying.
I think you fixed
There
it.
you go.
Hang on. I got another one in the green room. Keep going. If you're in the green room, I can see you. I'll let you on just a
really,
second.
it's interesting
Yeah,
really understanding, and also it's, I'll just take these off. There you go.
see how that works. How's that? No? No. That's all right. No,
There you go. Is that better?
Let's see. Keep going. Hey, Robert Orth.
So it's
Keep it.
really interesting because we're getting to a part of is who's those beings that are, and
No, you're out. You're out.
oh,
Yeah, it's not working. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, sending everybody much love.
Thanks, Delia. Hang on, let's go to the next one. Next one. Who's this? Sophia. What's happening? Hello? Oh, I don't think you have yeah, you don't have a strong enough signal. You know, you got no audio. And okay, so I guess, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just the maybe it's the energy. I don't know what it is. But yeah, we can't hear a word you're saying. All right. We'll try another one. Okay. So all right. We got 81 people in the house. We got about another 20 minutes or so. Yeah, I just think it's time that we start talking about some of these things a little deeper. I think one of the things that this platform does, and it really is a reflection of the whole trip, right? The whole evolution that we all kind of share and resonate with, is that you get into a space where you can expand your throat chakra and your being and your essence and your human and your soul in an environment where you're supported and you're not going to be made fun of, and you can have the confidence. So it's one thing to share something, but and you break the ice that way, right? But it's another thing to share something fully empowered. Now think about it. Let's say that you have a phobia about speaking in front of people on a stage, and there's 500 people, in the audience, and you walk up to it, and you're nervous, and you do it. Well, the next time you're going to even be, you can even be more in your power because you've already done it. And so what I'm saying is that part of what we're all doing is coming out and get moving past embarrassment, past shame, past blame, past everything, and having the balls or the ovaries to stand in our power and more so in a balanced way every day. So to me, it's the same thing. It's like we have established this area where we can comfortably start to speak to each other and be the real Todd and the real whoever. And now let's take that a little bit further and start to take the discussion where the human being is conscious and the soul obviously is there. And we have these, where two or more gather, these discussions where we can talk about these intricate details and not just accept everything as, the gospel truth, right? Let's see here. What is going on? Somebody sent me a message that says EY. Here's another one. It says, "Hey, Dad," but it's some kind of weird name. I'm not dad to this person. That's funny. Who is this person? I don't even know. Oh, I don't know what that is. So anyway, what is this? Hi, Todd. would love, oh, let's pull these down. Who was looking for, can you, I cannot find the link. Okay, look, I'm putting the link up now. Boom, there it is. That's the link. Boom, there it is. So if you need the link, there it is, Julie. Let's see here. What was this? I just saw, can someone copy? Okay. Hi, okay, I'll just put it up here. Avatar embodiment. Thank you for the comment. Hi, Todd. I love what you say. We must integrate the shadow and heal it and then go forwards, creating new structures. 0 point is in the middle. We should integrate all aspects that we resonate. Yes. See, things like that, you know, and so somebody like that might come on. And I know one way I differ probably with most people is because of my own journey, is that 2016, I balanced, I guess, you know, in my own mind. I'm not saying compared to anybody. I just balanced dark and light after a very, very long, intense, arduous journey. I reached a point one night in the cemetery where I used to walk, and this point came for me. But so ever since then, I welcome any energy into me. It doesn't matter how dark and ugly it is, and I've done some dark and ugly ones. Now, some people wouldn't agree with that, and that's fine. That's my truth. Now, avatar embodiment might say, I'm only going to embody those things that I'm you know, in resonance with, and I think that's great too, because we know ultimately we're all headed to the same place. We all come from the same place. We all end up in the same place. This is a journey where we're obviously in the human body, and we have a whole bunch of things that the universe has never really dealt with, especially on this earth journey. So I think every single perspective is viable. Julie, go to my Facebook page or go to YouTube. You must be on one of the other Facebook pages. Well, it should still be on there. But anyway, go to my Facebook page or go to YouTube. It'll be in the comments. I forgot what I was saying. Well, yeah, that everybody's perspective is relevant, even if you don't resonate with it. And I think this is really another big thing that's going on right now is it's important to discuss anything and everything that we're comfortable with, because many of the things that I'm referring to, that I'm going to be pushing to come out, are things that we haven't openly discussed, right? And I believe it's important to do that. Just as we discuss 9/11 and we discuss governments and we discuss the Vatican and we discuss COVID and we discuss whatever, why can't we discuss who our star family is? What have they told you? Like, for instance, my reference to the Anunnaki and the Pleiadians earlier. Let's take Pleiadians, because we know Pleiadians are the main facilitator. But there's still, I've run across people, and just as recent as in fact, if you watch that show, there's a reference to it, but that some run-ins with not benevolent Pleiadian, and so somebody might have an interaction with a particular type of species or essence. Somebody might have a different one. It doesn't mean that either one of them are wrong, but what's important is to get that information out there. Because one thing is for sure, we don't have to be so concerned about who's trying to hoodwink me or lie to me or deceive me, because our telepathy and our infinite conscious intelligence is becoming strong enough to see past the bullshit. So, and again, I might be hearing somebody and you might be hearing the same person, and your bullshit detector goes off and mine doesn't. We don't understand the science, the spirit science of all of this. Okay. But we do know this: judgment is not going with us. No judgment means 100% compassion. I think everybody can agree that in the 5D, if that's what you want to call it, there is no judgment. So what does that tell you? If we want to, and a lot of the intel that I'm being exposed to, and I'm not saying I'm getting this myself at all, although I feel it when I've come across it, and this is very recent this year. But a lot of the intel coming in is that we have moved up the dates. We've accelerated the timeline of the physical ascension. And I think that's something that, like, if you use me as an example, when I heard this from 3 or 4 or 5 different places, I got chills. Like, I know that we're making a difference, all of us, right? And so I think it's just important to hear what everyone has to say, because if it's true, if it carries a truth frequency, it's going to help us encode. I don't know what's going on with all these. Julie said there's only 5 comments. Refresh your device, because your memory's probably too backed up, or your signal's not strong enough to carry all the comments. But if you get out, come back in and see what happens. Yeah, so we got some great shows coming up. I wonder if I can share the screen here. Boom. Yeah, I think so. Let's see here. Where's the calendar? Boom. All right. Oh, yeah, here we go. So we got Marita Baptist Shashan on tomorrow, Shivani Kamara, Kevin May, got Glennis Harris Day. We got Lisa Marie from Conkers, Judy Dyer, Anthea Spark, and Quinn Vambasset. And I got several people that I haven't added to the calendar yet, but I will soon. What's up, David C. Wright? Flicks Love, what's happening? Time to go to sleep. Laurel Gale. I think, hey, let's put this one up here. Let's put this one up here. I think language, sound, tone, and the energy behind it, e.g., arrogance, unworthiness, or respect, is and always has been the key to our relationships, whether they be dark, ETs, or fellow humans. Fear keeps us lesser than, arrogance keeps us separate. That's a great synopsis right there. That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I think we've had enough experience now thinking that we had it figured out. So as she was talking about, when we start to get a little bit too far over the line, we get a kick in the ass. And I think we've had enough of those, and we're starting to figure out how we don't have to travel through in such a, fluctuating, energetic, up and down kind of way. Anyone wants to come on that's never been on before, please come on. Or if you have some new intel that you've received recently, we'd love to hear that. Who's that really soft-spoken blonde lady? I believe that would be Kristen Vambasset. She's from Norway. I'm not really sure who you're talking about. Let's see here. What we focus on expands, and what we resist persists. Intent is key. Intentions is such a key thing. Where are you physically at right now? Is that a question for me? Are you asking Robert? I'd love to have Robert on. I've asked him on. I'd love to have you on, Robert. I'm actually in Houston, Texas. I'm in Texas for a while. And then there's going to be some other stuff happening. Let's see, where are we at here? Okay, they're coming too fast. Thank you. Somebody said it was an amazing intel session last night. And thank you for that, Miss Once You Won on YouTube. Morgan and I didn't plan on, we put out, I think, 3 now. We didn't plan on that. We were told to do that, and it made sense. I actually felt like last night I wanted to edit it because I thought it got into a little personal stuff. But one of the things I realized with what those do, and I see it in like the sessions that Morgan and I had put out. I see it in the music with Ty. I see where, and those are just 2 examples. There's many, many examples involving a lot of other people than me. And what happens is, even though they're not typical methods, like a typical talk show or a typical whatever, they still have as much potential as any conversation. Because like in a conversation, you're going to have light, you're going to have resonance, you're going to have vibration and such. So those new methods carry at least as much potential as having a conversation. I think they have more. And the reason I think they have more is because they haven't been mainstreamed. They haven't been put out there. They haven't been worn out. They're fresh and they're new and they're gutsy. And they're gutsy because because people are stepping up and they're breaking through their own little personal fears. And so that comes through and goes back to what whoever that was said, intentions are everything. And for me, intentions have played a great part in helping me to kind of dissipate judgment of myself and of others. Because when I start to look at their intention, it's a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? Here goes somebody's on. Julie, Julie, turn off your Facebook. Julie, Julie, can you not hear me? So you can't hear? Those. Okay, Julie, you're obviously something's happening there. I don't know what it is, but you're gone. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, now somebody else had one here. Julie, I don't know what's wrong with your thing. I was talking to you and we could see you, but we couldn't hear you. Really powerful. Okay, so Miss Once You Won also listened to the session last night. Really powerful. Listened with my husband, felt it in my bones. And here she is again. Hang on, Julie, 1 second. We'll try again. It's a collective experience right now for sure, what you both spoke about. Yeah, and see, I think this is what is going on here is, and again, it could be like the session we put out last night. It could be like what Ty and I usually do on Mondays. It doesn't, and I can tell because I can tell by the concentration of engagement as a percentage of the people that actually look at something, because I've been doing this for so long. So it's pretty powerful. All right, I'm going to try Julie again. Then I'll go back to these questions. Boom. Can you hear me?
Off.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It is off.
No, it's not off. And
It is off.
Okay. No, it's not. It's not off.
Okay,
I can hear
it's
it.
off.
Okay, it's off. Now No, it's not off. Julie, I don't know what's wrong with your thing. It's not off. I was talking to you and we could see you, but okay, I'm gonna mute you. No, it's not off, honey. I mean, also listen to the session. No, it's not off. It's not off. Okay. So, okay. Okay, let's see here. If the hashtag love with the intention of truth reader, let me see here. Okay, hang on. I'm going to try her one more time. Here, let's see this comment. What is this? Princey 3010. Hey, Todd, I see a big purge happening. We're working on and cleaning up in the physical, helping out in DV. I'm not sure what that is. Workplace bullying, all the old is going. Yeah, cool. I'm digging that comment. Let me try her again, see what happens. Can you hear me? Still.
How about now?
No.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, but you're still running. It's still running. Oh, now it stopped. Oh, there we go. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, something's wrong with her. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Here's some interesting comments here. Hang on. So, all right, let's see here. Here it is. Boom. New is where it is. The old has a track record of keeping us in loops. That's right. And that includes, in my opinion, thank you, Elizabeth, that includes the loops that we get from the non-physical. Okay. That's just me, right? I'm not taking, it's going to be 2035, it's going to be 2050 and all that. I mean, that's just an example, but I think that's part of being empowered is asking questions. We have the right to ask questions. Success in the old perpetuates the old. This is an interesting comment. We can talk about this. Have held a few crying men in the last days. Loved it. Okay. Oh, that's Joel Prince. Okay. He's talking about domestic, things that are breaking down at the human level. Okay. So let me get this one off. How do you do that? Boom. Okay. Domestic violence is DV. Okay, I got you. So, where are we at? We got about 5 more minutes. Oh, the thing about the men. Okay, this is huge. This is fucking huge. I'm sorry, but it's just huge. Oh, we got somebody named Bob here. Let's go. Boom. What's up, Bob? Are you? Are you working? Is it working for you? It wasn't working for Julie. I don't know what was going on with Julie. That's crazy.
I don't know. I kept going around to different places, and I finally found the link. So
Cool.
I just wanted to bop on and say hi.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have any new intel? Do you have
Yeah.
any new intel? Anything that you can?
I felt it Sunday.
Sunday. So
Just this
okay,
Sunday.
I think that's about. Yeah, that was okay. Sunday would have been. Let me look at the calendar. It's too hard the other way. Sunday was what? The 19th. Okay. Because I remember having this conversation with Morgan, and I remember going back to about the 12th, which was the previous Sunday before the one you're talking about. And I remember something huge started happening. Like I want to say the 13th, 14th, 15th. Like there was a lot of, and I ran into several situations where there was like, like a what am I trying to say? Clash, right? Like, like an activation trigger, whatever. So I remember that happening, and I got online, and several people said, and I didn't solicit them, something just clicked. I heard clicking noises, something happened, bum, 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 whatever. And then I remember talking to Morgan about it, and then okay, Saturday, so the day before you're talking about, Daniel, the French smoker, came on, and that was a hell of that was a huge masculine anchoring, man. That was wild. And so then the 19th would have been the next day. And okay. So
it was almost like it was a pre-wave to the 22nd, or who knows.
Yeah.
A little early Sunday.
Yeah.
It was building
definitely.
towards it.
You look good, man.
But,
you look good. I said you look good. You look fresh.
Yeah, well, I got rid of the Santa beard, and this grew out a little bit, but I'm just digging. I keep digging the garden. I keep planting. I will be planting for the future. That's kind of my creative, but I keep drawing every morning and stuff too. So that's just keeping things going. But soon I'll be planting trees and flowers and vegetables and stuff. Awesome. On that 50-foot diameter walkway.
Yeah.
That
cool.
Sent you
far out, man.
Yeah. But it was really interesting. It was like, I'll tell you the circumstances Sunday. So early on, a horse of 37 years passed away. So that was the start of it, but it was almost like that was a trigger, or it was synchronistic with everything else that happened. And it just seemed to bring in a new wave of energy and changes. And there were a lot of other things that happened during that day and into the evening that impacted people around me. But it all seemed very synchronistic, and just like a wave of fresh air came in with the passing away of this horse. It's almost like this horse timed it. And his name's Baylor. So anyway, it's cool. It felt like a fresh change.
Wow. That sounds about right. And it doesn't surprise me that animal souls wouldn't play a part in that. I know Franco and Morgan both downloaded. I know in the last year or two how that pets are what we call pets. They're taking a lot of darkness with them, a lot of density with them when they go, just as humans do. We take a so
that makes perfect sense on this animal, because this animal has a whole history of family generation and all that within it, and it lived beyond some of these family members and all this. So almost like breaking a cycle. Because he was 37. At least that's as old as they know. It could be older. The horse was 37 years old. That's old.
Horses live. Horses live. What? Not that long. 20 years, right? Something like that.
The guy was ancient. He was like prehistoric. And he just kept going.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's an old soldier, took out a bunch of density with him.
Oh, I think so. Very much so. Yeah.
Well, man, you look good.
You
You
did.
look really good, and you
I'm
look
enjoying-
fresh. You must have met a woman because you're all cleaned up and shit.
No, yeah. I met the woman within me, right?
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
and it's good. It's good. The balance seems really good, and so and really enjoying what's going on with you all. So you're looking great.
Well, I'm glad somebody thinks so.
Well,
I'm getting blistered with these whatever it is, these blasts at night. I wake up, my face is peeling, my scalp is peeling, my hair's falling out. But I don't care.
Good sign for you.
What's that?
Anytime all that stuff. I mean, when you start peeling and all that jazz and blistering.
I don't even know, man. I'm just like I'm trying to align as best I can. I've been fasting a bit the last 3 weeks and changed my diet, changing my habits. But really, I don't think I'm the only one. I think it's happening all over, and it's a conscious thing every day. Every day. For 2 steps up, 1 back. I don't condemn myself. I don't go into self-judgment.
No reason.
But I think, again, this, as the individual goes, so goes a collective. It's not about me. I think this is what's happening. This is why it's so important to talk about these different subjects, especially topics that we've not discussed before, that we walk right over because it carries a kind of a savior mentality band of frequencies, and we don't realize it. So I really feel like that. We're really stepping up now, and I'm excited. And there's going to be some exciting things happening very soon.
And good. I just carry my energy and walk through the crowds and everything, and just try and beam it, as best I can. And the judgment thing is a really great thing. That's something I focus on is let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
And
let that shit go, homie.
Huh?
Let that shit go, homie.
Let that go.
Let that shift go, homie. I love that Buddha. I love that Buddha meme. But yeah, man. So one of the things I'm doing is trying to alter my schedule so I get the most out of every day. So beginning today, I'm actually taking melatonin. 8 o'clock, 8:30. I'm going to try to shift my day a little bit and with some things that I'm working on, and try to get more done during the time when I usually am sleeping.
Yeah, good.
Something like that.
So you're going to get rest.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Because what happens, I end up doing a bunch of work in the early part of the morning, and I lose that time. I could be doing other things. I could be broadcasting.
Yeah.
But so, dude, it's good to see you. I'm going to be heading that direction in April.
Really?
As far as I know, right now I don't really know for sure, but I'm going to be heading up to Arkansas for a bit, take care of a couple of things.
Yeah.
In April, and I think there's going to be some really cool stuff happening. I'm excited. I think expansion is in the air, and several people have been bringing up on the shows the new creations being constructed in this new energy now, and I feel like that is happening. Yeah. And I just want to align with it, man. So keep an ear out, because who knows what might be announced.
Who knows?
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that show. It's amazing. Keep saying amazing.
Yeah, she was funny, wasn't she? It's amazing. It's amazing.
Saying it, and it's like, and it all is amazing.
Oh, so hang on a second.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is this? You're sending me funny faces. How did he meet his inner feminine? What did that look like for him? Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Thank you, Morgan Lee. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I was talking about earlier. I don't know if you were on, huh?
No, go ahead.
No, but this is what I was talking about, was when are we going to start having conversations about our personal? God, I don't know what the hell's wrong with my camera. It must be the software. The other one's out. We're out on the other one. Can't afford it right now, but but this is what I'm talking about. Like what she said. Okay, how did you find your feminine, and what did that look like? You know what I mean? Like what was your experience like? Because this is what I was talking about earlier. These are the things we need to talk about, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's good.
What's your answer?
You know, I think part of it is having been a visual creative, musical creative, in dance. So I explored all those. The visual creative was what I worked in like in graphic design and illustration. But then I took like 12 years of dance, and mostly it was me and women, you know, and it was ballet, jazz. Those were the primary classes. And then music, and it was classical training. These are just those two things I just went into on my own. And it was because I classically trained vocally, you know, operatic kind of singing, that musicals. But then I took dance to begin with to improve my movement and all that when doing, you know, musical or performance.
Right.
All of those. Well, number one, I will tell you, well, both of them. You were saying, you know, you get up on the stage once or you speak and it's really hard and you're nervous. Well, I was nervous for a long time, particularly singing. And it never got over it, but I knew how to use it more so when I got up there. And I think, but you open yourself up to embarrassment. But I got, you know how they say, like when you're singing, look over or think of your audience as naked, or look over their heads and all that. Well, you know, I just said the hell with that. And I started singing and looking in people's eyes in the audience. And it personalized it, and it connected with, and I think that kind of being more receptive or receiving the energy or the connection, that was part of it. And in dance, like in dance studios, you can't get away from yourself in seeing, you know, from what's in your mind when you're moving and what you see in the mirror and what you see other students doing. And they were all ahead of me. I mean, these were younger students and all this. I started late, and, you know, it wasn't in my bones, but I worked really hard and I got up to a certain level for myself, but never to what they were. But so it's just, you get used to looking in the mirror and just working on it and not worrying about it. Because
how old were you when you did this?
Let's see, 30s.
30s? No, I was going to say, I guess it's out of the realm of possibility for me.
Not at all. No.
So now, are you talking about? So this is how you kind of evolved. Have you felt anything in that department? You know, be it the feminine within you, masculine, feminine relationship within you, or any of this stuff? Like in the last few weeks, as we've gotten into this year, have you noticed anything different?
As far as feminine, masculine, feminine?
Well, just, yeah, not necessarily, but I mean, like with your thoughts, your feelings, clarity. Are you having any shifts in your external relationships?
Okay.
Anything like that? Anything affecting you, your sacred sexuality, your life force, creativity, your sexual energy, whatever you want to call it? You know, anything, noticing anything in those departments?
Okay. Well, even ahead of this, there's been a creative surge, and you know, my focus is right now on the drawings that I do. I mean, you've seen some of them, and they seem to be some kind of code. So I just keep going with them and keep filling notebooks. But I think I've been kind of doing it all along, and it's grown, and I've, for one thing, I've always liked working with women or under women, in the sense of, they'll be my manager or whatever. I've always found it in a way more comfortable, because even though, like, I played football from, junior high through high school and stuff like that, so you learn aggressiveness and running into things and all that. I never was fully aggressive enough on a consistent basis. I mean, I had enough of it, but I don't know. I think I worked against it, or resisted it to whatever degree. It was still, and it just wasn't, the kind of male macho testosterone world of that, and all that. Never, and I know I'm going back, but it never fully engaged me, because I saw stupidity in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
And so I
mean,
think the creative and the arts, there was a depth to it, and I think women were ahead on that, in the sense that they're receptive, and they work and cooperate. I mean, not all of them, because some took on the male, pile, but in general, there was more of this working together kind of thing, and that appealed to me. And it spoke to a certain part of me that just made sense. And but now, I mean, I feel it's even stronger overall now. You were saying, what about now? And on the old things of being a male, usually what I say to myself, okay, but then what? With the idea that, well, okay, you can go in that direction of what the male has been, but then what? It's kind of a empty dead end of what.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's more so now, which I think everybody can kind of agree with that. That's with the whole masculine feminine thing, that
yeah.
I don't know anyone that wouldn't agree with that. So how do you see that affects the world in its changes? Okay. And like, what would you like to see? Like, what do you see the effect of what you're talking about having on our collective experience, and what would you like to see?
Okay. Well, number one, cooperation instead of competitiveness, and I think that groups are doing that. Creativity being more at the fore. I mean, I found with creativity, people say they see things, in the past, they see things and I love that and all that. But, as an artist, there is that, or has been that, but then people will look at the impracticality of that life. So there's still a separation, but I think we're coming to the point where, I mean, I feel, and definitely in this group and other groups and all that the value of people's creativity in whatever they do, doesn't matter, everything is growing, and it's not going to be a competition, because they even make, like, say, cooking. All the cooking shows are competitions. It won't be a competition. It'll be a sharing.
Right.
and an excitement about what each is bringing to it. And it won't be commercialism, consumerism. So, right. I just think I can just see where there's more everyday excitement, no matter what the person's doing, because everybody will be more in a childlike wonder, and excited about life. I don't, more so. Excitement every day. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going. I'm just trying to deal with some technical stuff as we do.
Oh, okay.
You're good. But yeah, let's go ahead. I don't know what that is.
What?
Okay, so I still do, a couple hours. I don't know, an hour and a half a day of research. I always have, and I came across something really, really in line with what you're talking about, and this was just a few days ago, and it all revolved around the level of the level of I want to say subterfuge infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
The hidden infrastructure of the matrix, and how we look at the face of it and we see certain things that are very obvious, but there's actually stuff beneath it. And this would fall in line with like the mud floods, memory swipes, the world's fairs that were constructed, in short periods of time, and all this weird stuff, right? And what it was in regard to the Renaissance period, that they had a pretty good argument too, that they were talking about that the Renaissance was a reset. And they had all these different evidentiary things to point to. One of them, the reason I'm bringing it up, is because one of them was the art.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're basically saying that they proliferated the earth, just like they changed history and this and that, with art from our own Akashic, right? Now, without going into the whole details of it, what it ended up being at the end, like their summation, was that there is probably the most the highest objective or highest priority of that which I described, the subterfuge of the matrix, the infrastructure beneath, that their number one objective was to eradicate creativity. And through that method of putting out all this stuff from previous civilizations, somehow or another was reducing the amount of creativity. And they went on to other things as well. But to me, that speaks to the feminine, right? The feminine part of us is that creative part of us that flows, right? I thought it was a really interesting thing. I've got it bookmarked. I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Oh, that's well, and I see the subterfuge. I see it in the arts, all of them.
Yeah.
And up to this moment, but even I've looked back in my own history and what I loved and in all the arts and all that. And I can see the dark and the light in it. And I can see the control systems within it and the directions they went. And, I don't think they can kill real creativity.
No, it's impossible. It's the life force of the universe. I mean,
it might come wonky, if those who are supported, and those systems do, the systems.
Of course they do. They do in archaeology. They do in all of them.
Yeah. They, but
yeah, go ahead. It's a lag.
Yeah.
So I want to keep it on the feminine.
Sure.
We know the feminine's been suppressed. I had a huge download, and it was part of the session we did last night. So we know the feminine's been suppressed, and the download I was referring to had to do with the divine masculine being suppressed, and it was in that session we talked about it. But being that the feminine is the part of us that covers our creativity, and it's been suppressed, as well as a true divine masculine, which would have a creative ability above a distorted masculine, even probably above a distorted feminine on the earth at for the majority of this time, right? So I want to kind of go back there, and I was wondering, like, because I know you personally, I think we're going to see a lot more men carrying the frequency bands that you carry, stepping up, like Daniel DeKeek the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel, and I know it's a never-ending story for all of us and everything, do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you still carry some distorted masculine? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more artifactual in a way. And what I mean is, like, I always, like, those when they used to have the video cameras that had the single chip, and somebody would cross the path of or you'd pan. Well, they cross the path, and you just, your camera was still, and there were it would pixelate behind them,
Right.
and you break up. I think that's what's happening, because if I see any distorted, I pretty much look at it. If it's an artifact.
So I think what you're saying is, which is what I've been saying overall, not about this specific thing. It seems to me, based on what I do every day and what I observe, that there's something to be said for recognizing and acknowledging the awareness. So in other words, you come into the awareness of it, you see the pixelation, and then in that moment of acknowledgement, it dissipates.
Yeah. Well, I see the stupid of it. Real plain and simple. I see it's like anything that's happening nowadays that's breaking apart. It's gotten to the stupid. It's so, and I see that same thing in myself. I said, that's stupid.
Well, I think this, but here's the thing, and this is what I feel. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a gospel truth. I'm just saying that something, and something happened with masculine energy, and this is the first time I would ever go on record and say something, and I mean something big, not something little. Something big has happened, and it's a game changer. Because of the Bobs, because of the Daniels, because of the David Mannings, because of this divine masculine incarnations is coming out now. And part of the reason it's coming out now is because what you're saying is true. I mean, look at, for instance, NBA basketball.
Mm-hmm.
They just had an all-star game. Why am I bringing this up? Because it's the patriarchal, it's the plantation, it's the old pattern where it looks like men are heroes, but they're actually being used and abused, right? Mm-hmm. They had the lowest viewership they've had in years. They're going down the tank. Football going down the tank.
Yeah.
I think you'll see the same with UFC. But what I'm trying to say is, at the heart of it all, there is this old incarnate man that was the standard that's getting his ass handed to him on a plate. And he's got nowhere to go. Nowhere. And so because the creepiest and the slimiest and the greasiest and grimiest are coming out. Mm-hmm. And it's the same cycle and routine that we've all gone through in our own self-awareness as we move out of self-preservation and into eternal, the eternal mode. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that energy, right? So my question to you is, because I know your frequency and your interaction with women, and I know you as a man, what do you think women could do to assist the primarily male incarnate carrying the masculine energy that's getting its ass handed to it on a platter? And what do you think other men could do for that man? basically. You get what I'm saying?
As his
What-
ass handed.
Yeah. What
Right.
could, what do you think would benefit us that the women could do in general? We're speaking in general. We know this. And what do you think that a brother on brother kind of connection could do to help?
I think forgiveness.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, just when somebody says something, just say, yeah, I know. I mean, whether it's a woman, they've already had their ass handed to them. So it's like telling them, it's okay. And maybe relate to them like what I've seen or what how I've gone along and when I saw it and all that. I'm just maybe a little step ahead or whatever, and I'm thankful. I mean, but I think it's like grace. That's the word. I think a lot of grace can be shown by everybody. That's a beautiful word, and I don't know the etymology of it, but it just feels good. It's like
grace.
It's like just give them a break. We've all gone.
I think.
Through the shit.
Yeah, I love that. I think I was writing something the other day.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, and it was grace was like the key word, and it was about the masculine.
Mm.
I don't know. Oh, here it is. I don't know if I can find it. It's a song. It's a song. I'm actually writing it for Morgan, so I'm not going to share that.
Can you just run one line that has grace in it there? Or would it spoil it? Don't spoil it.
It won't spoil it. No, it's very long. So it was like, where did I see it? Here it is. So I was basically saying how even embodiment could be a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I had the words speaking to the potential of love's uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And also illusions, grace of reality. Now, what I mean by that is there is a grace in the reality that we're all sick of.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would never be able to climb, by degree higher than we've been into the depths. And I was particularly in a mindset a couple of nights ago writing this from the male incarnate perspective, like what you just said. In other words, he already got his ass handed to him on a platter. He's standing there holding his dick, which is now limp and flaccid and energetic. Energetically, he's got nothing to stand on because everything that he built his life on, house, career, stature, trophy wife, whatever it is gone. Now, did you watch the show with Daniel Sunday?
I caught it later, so
okay. So if you go 30 minutes into that show, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, 30 minutes.
So in the session last night with Morgan, she asked me what are the attributes of the divine masculine, and I said whatever I said. But then at the end, I said that's it. I actually saw it, but I can't describe it because I don't know what the word is. So it wasn't only what he said. It's the energy of intention, unconditional love, balance, awareness, awakeness, whatever you want to call it. It was how he said it. It was the grace that he emitted. Because first of all, it was the stone cold truth. And it was the kind of information that would be hard for anyone not to have judgment, right? On an issue that's probably the hottest issue in the realm, right? In somewhat related to it. But it was also, it had many different messages in it, but it was the fact that he owned up to it, and he didn't do it like crying in his soup. He did it, and he was nervous. He was in power. He said to me, "I'm not cutting any corners. I'm going to tell it all, every single bit of it." And I was like, "Whoa," because I didn't know how deep he was going to go. I was like, "Holy crap!" Now, that divine masculine band of frequencies presented in that moment by Daniel DeKeek is not something that would be welcomed in the old masculine world. In fact, it would be attacked. It would be embarrassed. In the session I did with Morgan, what I was trying to get across, and I said it 3 times because I kept hearing, "You got to say this, you got to say this." I didn't know why, and that was that the hardest thing, and it was in Daniel's story. The hardest thing was to get to the point where he says to himself, and I'm speaking of you, me, whoever it is, that whole competition, comparison, alpha male, it made me feel like a puny little piece of crap. Now, the scene could be you're 4 years old, your brother's 7, he kicks the shit out of you, makes fun of you, throws you outside naked, other things that are worse than that. But the feeling of having to step into the arena and all you could do was wear the old armor because the true armor, you get your ass handed to you on a plate. And I experienced this at Home Depot, working there and because I was able to be that more balanced. I wasn't, perfect, but I was certainly much better off than most of my contemporaries. But as soon as they got the chance, somebody took me out at a price to them. But so that to me would kind of be an example. But my thing is how many men will look at what he said and the spirit of what he said, and how many of them would admit to it? How many men would admit they've been in a circle jerk? How many men would even admit to masturbating? Really? I mean, seriously, how many men would admit to the frequency of visiting a porn site or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, it's all a fucking program. And so I know for my own growth and expansion, especially here these last few weeks after the tail end of last year and then coming into this year, because I arrived in Houston a couple of days before the first of the year. The biggest thing has been owning it. Like the biggest things have been for me, like accepting things into my being. And this is really as a man, right? That I didn't think I was. Now, it doesn't mean I am. It just means it's within me. And instead of putting it on other people, I started to look at where I was doing it to myself, which was a real eye opener.
Yeah.
And that was a real eye opener. Like, where are you a narcissist with yourself? And I sat with this and I thought, okay, wait, you smoke cigarettes. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But sit with that. If this is a mind, body, spirit thing, then where are you at with that? So what I found was, and I think this is where the men could identify would be, what I found is that I made myself the exception. Right?
Yeah.
I made myself the universal exception. And if that's not narcissism, I don't know what is.
And if that's
right?
judgment
or selfishness or whatever word you want to use, that doesn't have to be that word, but but you know what I'm saying is so if we have this thing really ingrained in us because we had to, because of being in the patriarchal and being a masculine, you couldn't show weakness. So if we can get to a point where we can understand that it's okay, like you said, forgiveness, and most of all, self-forgiveness, non-judgmentalism with yourself, and the whole shame, blame, and everything that goes with it. But yeah, and I think this is important because I don't think that the men. I'm becoming a big believer that a big part of our coding for the universal, the offering to the universal, is our emotional. Is the development and evolution of our emotional intelligence. Women have it, men don't have it. So our go-to card, our trump card, is I'm a man, I'm a badass. I don't have to do that. That's for pussies. That's for weaklings.
Mm-hmm.
But see, nobody's getting out of that now. So this is where I think the remedies will be necessary from those brothers I asked you about that would help a brother, or the women, because it's going to be pretty radical. And it may not last a long time, but it's going to be radical. We're going to see some serious alpha male, distorted male, patriarchal, whatever, come tumbling down. And you can look at Ukraine, you can look at politics, you can look at everything. It's being shattered because it's all held up on his back.
Yeah. Well, and it's already shattering. That's the thing. It's fragmenting. And the thing I keep telling myself though, I don't know how things are going to play out either. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying there, because like when you said the whole thing, the house, the wife, the all the accoutrements, whatever, and this is your world and all that, and it's a huge thing. No matter how big or small their world is relative to others, that's a big crashing thing. But I don't know how with the energies and all that, and I've said this. Well, number one, I don't know. Let's just say, I'm just going to start with that, period. Because there's a lot, so much, just seems infinite, not known than is known. And then what we know is kind of can be warped too, of what we believe we know. But honestly, Todd, the way the energies are happening, I can see things like Sunday happening in a click. And I just mean there's just all of a sudden, bang. And it's like, now you talked about mind wipe. It won't be a mind wipe. It'll just be, what the hell? I'm not going to, I don't know. That sounds wacky or miraculous, but, and I've also heard where, and I'm relating this to all the stories. Oh, we've got to build healing centers around the world and this and that and this and that. Now, I can see that with the paradigm as it exists. And if we look at the timeline as proceeding along a timeline-ish way, but something, I don't know. I can also see where all of a sudden the level, the 100th, you could say, let's use the 100th month thing.
Right.
An energy level that enough take it on, and then bingo. And it's just like, hey, I don't even know if people are going to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. It might just be, it's gone. Because I don't know. And so I keep that's kind of a wonderment thing, but I don't think that's Pollyannish. I'm just saying that's a possibility. And because I really don't know how. I hear people talking a lot about how it's going to play out, but
I don't think anyone has any. I don't even think our brethren in the non-physical, so to speak, know.
Right.
I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah.
But I do think that somebody just put it up here too. They said something about. Let me see. Hang on.
Yeah.
They said. Now this is interesting. Allison Clausen. Women are going to have trouble how to interact with men. Now, I think what she's saying is that as a result of this new masculine, or the true masculine emerging, it would probably work out the shadows of the opposite gender just as the pressure of the divine feminine expansion put pressure, good pressure, shed light on the distorted masculine, I guess the distorted feminine too. But somebody put in here about the men, and that it's their time now. And men do have it. It just had to be turned on. There was another comment here. And so it was something, I don't know who wrote it, but it was something to the effect, or the way that I pulled it in was, well, the reason that the men topic is on the table is because it's time. And this is our leg of it. And like everything else in this journey, what we think is the bottom is not the bottom, but I think we know what the bottom is now, because it is the sex magic, sexual distortion, the molestation, all the stuff that the men had to, roles they had to play, both as perpetrator and as victim. And I think that what they were saying in that comment that I can't find is that, in essence, I'll just use my own words. We have this awareness now. Let's transmute it. Let's transform it. So this is where the question was: how can the women help? How can the men help their brothers? And I guess, like, to be more specific, do you think that is, because it's something we've kicked around? Do you think that men are ready to come together, let's just say in a small group or gathering circle, and lay it out there? And I'm not talking about the 12-step pattern, and nothing against 12 steps. I love Emmett Fox. I love, my participation in those meetings, but they tend to be a crying party sometimes. Right? I'm talking about getting into the type of energies that Daniel pulled out. Having real conversations, having conversations like, and this probably would be too much too fast, but like, you see, or like some of these things you see on the reels where loyalty test, right? Like really challenge them on, what would happen if you walked into a room and or this woman called you up, or whatever, I don't know, whatever these male scenarios are that are part of that structure, to include, let's just say, I'm going to be, I'm trying to find something. Let's say a woman walks by, there's 4 men standing there, she's hot, and they got to say something. Like, I don't think it's okay anymore to disregard our thoughts or to make ourselves the exception to universal. And I think there's no way that the energy that I think many of us have been exposed to in dimension and in memories and such, that came in and altered the tilt of the axis, so to speak, of this earth. It was a strong, distorted masculine that had made itself an exception to the rule and took on the role of a lesser god. And in order to do that, the men, the women played a role, and the men played a role. But the men, to be enslaved from the beginning, and again, take this metaphorically, energetically, to be enslaved from the beginning and not have anywhere near the wherewithal in terms of power, might, strength, whatever, to contend with these invaders, right? This invading energy, if you want to follow the narratives of an Anunnaki or whatever it is. But on top of that, they took our wives and raped them. We're talking ethnic cleansing from a cosmic level that goes on and is perpetrated and copied throughout this world. And all you got to do is look at history. So in my opinion, he's carrying that. He's both victim and perpetrator. And to me, owning the perpetrator, owning being a rapist, a murderer, whatever, to me, that was doable and done. But what surfaced now is the embarrassment. You ever been embarrassed as a little boy?
Oh,
a bunch of guys?
Oh,
yeah. the embarrassment of not being a man.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we can sit here today and know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
In those moments, and that little boy is still in there somewhere, you know. I mean, it's some deep shit.
Yeah.
But I think to that person's point earlier, this is a real opportunity for us all. So back to the question, what could women do? What could brothers do for each other? And do you think that men are ready to have gatherings or groups or circles where they open up both verbally, you know, awaken consciously, but also etherically, and open ourselves up to the higher frequency bands that the women tap into? What do you think?
Well, one word that popped out a little time ago, I mean, when you were talking role, and what you just spoke about there, I'm just throwing these out just to remember them. Puppet. And because really that system you just talked about there, about the Anunnaki or off planet or whatever coming in and you know, basically it was just like kings going into other countries or territories, raping, pillaging, you know, just shattering the psyche of the male group. But then they find those that are cunning or whatever and say, hey, you know, I can get some of this skin if I become a puppet of these guys is invading. And that in the lineage from the get-go. Usually the clever and conniving that take on, or, you know, to whatever degree, or let's just say it, you know, I don't know if I'm fully right, but it seems so. They're more clever than intelligent. They're clever and a conniving, or
well, because they have the rules to the game, and it'd be like me coming over to your house and playing a game with you and your friends, and I got all the rules and I don't divulge them. Right. So I mean, you know, but yeah, I just wondered. Well, we'll just put it on the back burner. But I mean,
and I didn't answer your question, I guess. You know, I do go back to grace, and yes, men and women can help, and how they can help is speaking of what they've gone through, and like if somebody has gotten more of a balance, just say, yeah, I know I did stupid stuff too. I mean, just saying I was stupid too, or, you know, just to be plain and simple with it. Yeah, you know, I bought into those things, and I did this and that. Maybe I didn't do the exact thing you did. It doesn't matter. But it was more the consciousness, the mindset that I went by, and I look at myself at those times, and I think about my consciousness, and I say, you know, what was driving you? What, to myself, what, looking back and reevaluating, it's like you were just going along with patterns.
Well, and don't you think some of that was, you know, when we talk about somebody plays with our DNA, whatever the literal part of it is, but don't you think that some of that was instilled in us?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I remember the first time I was in fourth grade, third grade. The first time I was on the side of the house with a girl in a bikini, and I, you know, touched her. Something went off in me.
Yeah.
From that point on, it was like, you know what I mean? And so, and I thought about that the other day. I thought, wow, that's trippy, but that was not me.
Yeah.
That was something ancestrally in me. So so here we go with
in your DNA.
Well, yeah. So, you know, I think we need to I'm already an hour late.
Uh-oh.
46 minutes late. No, it's okay. It's been cool, but I want to get out of here. Yeah, so, but no, I think so. Number one, to come together, whatever that looks like. 2 is to tell the stories. 3 to me is because for me, there was a certain point that I hit as a soul, as a human, not necessarily man, female, whatever, that everything is a program. Like all of those things are a program. Therefore, anything that comes, it's like the cops come in the door, they don't have a warrant, and they find 100 pounds of marijuana back here, which is not true.
Yeah.
You go through the process, that gets thrown out because it was an illegal entry, right? So it's the same thing. Anything that's connected to the program is part of the program, so there is nothing to forgive.
Right.
Right? Now,
Yeah.
the other part, the fourth part of it, I think, which I think these types of groups or gatherings would help, like Morgan's group, but it would be more just men, would be the healing of those things. Because if we can all stand together and there's power in numbers and say, look, this is all a program, even if you did something horrible, understand that's what it was, and let's pull the judgment and the condemnation, shame, blame, guilt, externalization out of it. But that doesn't mean that it's not still a viable deficiency within self. So I think that's a really important part of it too, because we've still got to bring it into alignment within ourselves. It's one. It's so how many of us, and we can all say this, we know that. I've learned that. I know that, but we don't know it until, you know what I mean? Until you feel it, right? The experience teaches you, or you feel it through transformation or something to that effect.
Yeah. And one thing that you brought, the way I try and see things is it's just what you said. Who's to say? And I would say, obviously they did. Anything you can use, like the programming of the DNA, why wouldn't you?
Right.
And I'm saying, like when I talk to people about, let's say, things going on in let's just call it 3D, the stuff that's crumbling, the powers that were. Well, what I do is I say, look, okay, let's flip it. Let's think like they would. How do you control things? How do you create setup things to benefit you? And then you can then just brainstorm and, riff on it. And okay, they did this. Well, why couldn't they do this with it? Why wouldn't they do this? And why wouldn't they? That's their program. That's their role. Why wouldn't they program the DNA? Why wouldn't they use that to their advantage? Why wouldn't they use the banking to, just all the systems, the medical, the schooling and all that. So it's really interesting when you flip it and then you just say, they are slaves to it generationally, as we are on the flip side, I guess you could say, receiving it. And it's all, it's all,
but it's ultimately it's our personal transformation. And so anything that's been set up in the subterfuge and otherwise, it's not more powerful than we are.
No, you reprogram your DNA.
Yeah,
it's programmable.
Yeah,
it's programmable. We do it ourselves. Hey, enough of that, right? And you know what? I was going to say, males, one of the energy, I think it's, how we've been, people have been saying in different ways, I'm just tired of it. Enough of it. And, in various reasons. Well, I think the same thing, because of the energies. Men have been enslaved in those systems and that stuff. They have. They've just had to carry the role, whether they fully wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
In different, and they're just going to, I'm just tired. I just don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
I think that's
right. That's happening. I think that's happening. I saw this video, this reel. And it's a black guy, cool black dude, speaker. I don't know if he's a motivational speaker or whatever, but he came on, powerful.
Yeah.
And he says, how does he start this thing? He says, a man. Now, again, this is not about victimhood. This
Yeah.
is about psyche.
Okay.
And the reason I didn't share this out because I didn't want people to take it the wrong way.
Right.
It's not about the sexes or the battle of the sexes. It's not about anything but the male psyche.
Yeah.
And he says, if a man, now this is self-perception of from that man. If
Yeah.
a man doesn't feel worthy and respected, and the same kind of things that you heard the feminine say, but it was different because it was in regard to protector and provider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said, but if a man doesn't feel, and I think about this in the context of the collective, if a man doesn't feel worthy, appreciated, validated, heard, because like Chris Rock says, and this is the same type of mentality,
Mhm.
Chris Rock says, the only people that get unconditional love are women, children, and dogs.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
The man just got to do what the man's got to do, right?
Ah,
So it's kind of the same thing. He made a joke of it, but
Yeah.
so what he said was, and this is the part that I thought was fascinating. He said, if a man doesn't get that, he'll start to put mask on. He'll start to be something he's not.
Mhm.
He'll start to become someone else. And I was like, whoa, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, I mean, we've done this day in, day out. You mentioned, even like you mentioned playing sports as a kid. I mean, I
Mhm.
think about some of the stuff that I did back then. I thought that was fucked up, man.
Oh
That was
yeah.
that was serious programming there.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'm only have one meal today. It's going to be a little bowl of soup, red curry. It's got bok choy and
Ooh.
spinach, and I can't believe I'm eating like this. I remember the days when it was hot dogs and hamburgers and tacos. Not anymore, man.
Hey, shoot in some little Bragg's vinegar,
I have some
apple cider. Give a little shot of it in. Oh,
into the curry.
yeah.
Okay, I'll
Oh,
do that.
great.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I drink Bragg. Well, I love vinegar anyway. I drink
Yeah, I do too.
Bragg's, I have the big bottle of it, and I just shoot it.
That's what I do. I have
Yeah.
two. I have two bottles. Yeah, I keep one in the bathroom and I keep one in the kitchen. And I usually take a shot or two a day, just a small, like a tablespoon.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you know that they have the apple cider honey with cayenne pepper?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh.
Oh wait, hang on. Somebody said, "Oh, I was trying to do this one here." You'll be farting like a trooper, evidently, according to Nigel. No, but God, why does this keep happening? No, but I got some turmeric.
Oh, nice.
I've got organic turmeric. I got organic ginger,
Mm.
and with the red apple cider, lemon, honey. There's a couple of different and cayenne pepper. There's a couple of different concoctions you can make that are really, really good for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm into that stuff.
That sounds.
All right, brother. I'm just worn out. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I want to get up early.
It was fun.
And, yeah, it was fun. Hey, and listen, thanks everybody for your continued love and support and contributions. Allow us to keep doing this every day. Okay. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, Todd.
See you, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.